Nexxlegacy.
The voice, very, very, very tremendous. The song is very powerful. I want to welcome everybody to this edition of Nexxlegacy AL Radio. Branded is in the house tonight, and my guest, before I put a mic on her, I gotta let people know. It's, when it comes to music and different kinds of music, I've always been a big fan of diversity and trying to find, I guess you could say in a lot of ways, just appreciating the God-given talent, of course. But when you do listen to different types of music, you want to find an appreciation for it. And this young lady has been very active in doing so many different things, and of course she can kind of tell you about some of the things she's achieved as far as notoriety throughout her career. But I became an early fan of this young lady just for the simple fact that I love passion that comes out of vocals. It doesn't have to be, it could be every genre in the music industry, and I want to try to find my appreciation for it. And I want to welcome, I can call you Bri Cooper, Bri Cooper.
Sure.
Everything,
Bri,
as long as people know out there that Miss Cooper, Bri Cooper, is definitely a force to be reckoned with, and I welcome you on this edition of Nexxlegacy Radio.
How you doing? So much. Great. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you coming on, and for the listeners out there, of course, we got to get a little bit of a bio on you, and for the listeners out there worldwide who don't know who you are, so let all the listeners out there know exactly who is Bri Cooper.
Well, I'm a classical singer, and also, I love music education as well. I have so many friends that are music teachers, and I've sung pretty much all over the world. I've done a lot of tours from Broadway to off-Broadway to opera, and a lot of recital work. And I studied music at East Carolina University in Greenville, North Carolina at the School of Music. They have a wonderful School of Music there, and also at the American Institute of Musical Studies, which is in Austria.
Okay. Very active. So you're not even going to mention the awards that you did win. So, should I do it? You got an alumni award. Like, see.
I know, it's so weird because I just think of myself as, I'm Bridget, that's it. That's just me, But it's so weird. I'm like, oh, God, I guess I have for that,
I mean, you had an alumni award. You was a recipient at the East Carolina University School of Music. You also
that recital is actually coming up.
Yeah, and you did a soloist engagement for the People's inaugural luncheon, right? The tribute to First Lady Michelle Obama.
Yes, that was during their first term. Yep.
How was that experience?
It was a great experience. It was very rewarding, educational, everything, and it was basically a luncheon that kind of talked about some of the issues that women face in society and how to go about changing the things that you don't like, as well as thinking about things that could change your life and how to get more involved with, just taking care of yourself as far as being a woman. So I thought that was very enlightening.
Now, I was like I said, I was checking up on you for the last week or so. So I was doing a little homework, and I was like, hey, you know what? That's pretty powerful. But one thing that really caught my attention, as far as not just reading through everything that you've accomplished and listening to your music and finding my appreciation just continue to grow and grow. I can. It's just like I said earlier. I hear that passion that comes out of your voice and what you do. So did you always find that, this is classical music is really what I want to do. This is really my God-given strength that I can be able to show the world?
You know what? It's so interesting you asked that. It sounds very cliche, but when people say, sometimes I didn't choose music, music chose me, it's really interesting how it just kind of came into it. I mean, my parents were avid music listeners, and they loved music. My mom was a former opera singer. My dad he was an attorney, but he came from a Bahamian family, which is very, very, very musical. And my grandfather was a violinist. But he decided he wanted to go into law, but he always loved music, especially just really good music, choral music. So it was just kind of always around. And, every kid usually takes some sort of music lesson. So I did that. And then it wasn't until maybe junior high, and my music teacher called my house and said, you should hear Bridget. I'm going to give her a solo. You should hear her. And they came to the program and heard me, and my dad, after that, and I got a standing ovation. And I remember singing,
wow.
It was just, what was it? It was Memory from Cat. And literally I sung it just like classically. And it just kind of came out of my mouth. It wasn't any trying or anything. That's just how I sang it. Right. And my dad at that point was just kind of like, you have a real musical gift. And, of course, my mom was probably secretly like, oh, my God, it's her. Out there.
That's right.
Like, oh, my God, he's trying to be cool. And then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, my God, it's her. So,
wow.
They never put any pressure on me or anything like that. But I remember them they all of a sudden started taking me to these concerts. Now, before, they were pretty much orchestral concerts that we would go to, like once a month, and my parents would drag us to. I'm like, oh, that's great. But then all of a sudden it became these classical singers, these opera singers that were coming in town, doing a show, doing a recital. And my parents and my music teacher, all of a sudden, I'd get these tickets. Oh, yeah, we're just going to go and listen to, Leontine Price. And then I'd have this big, well, what do you think? Oh, this is great. Keep things going. Next month, same thing. And then when it became time to pick a college, my parents were like, well, what do you think about majoring in music? Because I was such a free spirit, too. I really honestly did not know what I wanted to do. I just knew it was going to be something. I knew I had to go to college. So I said, well, yeah, okay, great. So we got the repertoire together. We auditioned, everything. I got into East Carolina. And, it was a great experience for me. It was a lot different than what I thought. I thought pretty much I was just going to go sing, open my mouth. But, it's a really disciplined lifestyle when you choose to major in music and make it a career. You have to take the theory and the sight singing. And I remember theory giving me such a fit for, we had to take like 4 semesters of it. And I just remember I just thought I was going to lose my mind because I couldn't get it. I didn't understand it. And everyone else there was pretty much like they had majored. They knew they wanted a career in music since pretty much they were 3.
Right.
And, they were all just, they knew about their music theory. They knew about sight singing. They knew everything, and I was just like, oh, my gosh. And it was a real struggle for me to get out of theory and sight singing. And my parents were just like, you got to stick with it. This is what you have to do. You're not going to just be a singer and then not know what you're doing, and you're not going to have not have an education behind you.
That is true.
So,
that is very true.
Yeah. So they definitely wanted me to keep going. They were like, you just have to keep going because if you can't do this, guess what? Life is going to throw you all sorts of stuff that you're not going to be able to finish if you don't finish this and figure out a way to do it. So
and all this started was when your music teacher literally told on you and went and told your parents, like,
basically,
check her out, she's good,
exactly,
she's good.
And it kind of exactly, and I keep thinking about like maybe my violin teacher when I was I think 11, and I remember she was saying, I remember just getting advanced. Like going in not knowing the violin at all, and then maybe like I think, gosh, it must have been like maybe 2 months later, all of a sudden I was in the advanced class. And I was just doing my thing, but I remember her saying there was going to be a studio recital, and I remember not telling my parents. I was just freaked out. So they didn't find out until after the fact.
Shh, don't say nothing.
I was a little, oh my gosh. I can honestly say I contributed to my mother's gray hair.
But you know what? That gave you the strength to what you're doing now. And Bri Cooper is our guest on Nexxlegacy's AO Radio. And what were some of the I guess you could say some of the strengths, not just the strengths, but some of the challenges. I know you said about, there's a lot of kids, at a very young age that started doing this before you started.
Yeah.
But what are some of the other things that actually, was a challenge, and what are some of the things that was actually good success for you as you grew into what you're doing now?
Yeah, well, of course, when I started studying theory, that just blew my mind, because I was like, you mean I can't just get up there and sing? You have to take theory and sight singing, and I'm like, you mean I have to actually know what note I'm singing and not have, like, an instrument behind me to help me figure out what note it is and then figure out where it's going on the key, So that was really difficult. I think I didn't do such a great job at Theory 101, which was, like, the first semester theory.
Right.
I think close to 3 or 4 times. And
wow.
I had a professor that I thought I was just going to lose it. And he did everything he could to, I thought, make my life miserable. But he did everything he could, really, to help me understand it and pass me, because he ended up doing, like, remedial theory. So he ended up, like, I think after I failed the first course, he was like, okay. All right.
Like, what are we doing here?
We need some help here. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he made the smaller class just for Bridget.
I heard that.
And there were a few other singers, there were a few other people that took it with me who evidently didn't get it either. So fast forward, those are just some of the hurdles that I overcame. Of course, I love performing. I loved all of that. I love the competitions. They're nerve-wracking, and definitely just getting into the disciplined routine of it all, where you practice you're in a practice room, locked in there for 2.5 hours, and I'm like, how am I going to get 2 hours? How am I going to practice a note for 2 hours? But it's amazing. You do it because you have a voice lesson, and it better be right when you walk in there. And by the time I graduated, I remember walking down the hallway, and I'm, getting teachers to sign off on whatever paper it was so I can officially graduate. And I ran into the professor who failed me like 3 times in theory, and he says, Bridget, can you come here for a minute? And I'm like, oh, my God, don't tell me I never passed theory. So I'm like, yes. And so he's like, I just want you to know that no matter what you do, you are going to do great. And I was like, what are you talking about? Are you talking to me? And he's like, Bridget, any student that stuck with theory as long as you did, and you just kept going and you got it, and he's just like, he said, he's seen so many kids just say, oh, I can't get it, forget it, bye. Right. And he was like, you just stuck with it. You just stuck with it and kept going. And he's like, I want you to know that's what you have to do as a musician, and you're going to be okay. And I will never forget that, because I really thought that guy was just out to get me. Just like, oh, my God, he's out to get me. And I would cry cry at home and tell my mom and dad what was going on. And my dad was just not having it. My dad was just like, Bridget, if you don't do this, you are going to, you're just going to stop at every obstacle that comes your way, and you're not going to finish it or go over it. So he was just like, you just got to do it. I was like, but the money. He was just like, that's what we'll have to do. We'll work it out. Don't worry about it, that kind of thing. Right. You just do what you're supposed to do. And so I did it, and, I just remember that talk. And some of the things that I really, those are some of the struggles. And I think also, you hear no so much. You get rejected so much. You feel like, oh, my gosh, you've got to meet the right people. What happens if you don't meet the right people? That kind of thing. Things that are out of your hands, that's what I had to learn. I had to grow into that. Like, you go on audition and somebody doesn't want you, well, it's not really because of your voice, but there are 100 million other factors that go into why they don't choose you. It could be somebody they know. It could be somebody that they worked with before. It could be just something that's out of your control, and that's what I had to learn. And so once I kind of got past that, I was fine. And then just trying to balance it all as you get older. Life gets in the way a little bit, and you just, you think you make the right decisions, and you just have to learn how to balance everything, And so those have been kind of the trickier things that have happened to me. But things that I love about it is just the travel, the experience, the meeting tons of people from all over the world.
Right.
How it makes you just a real global person. Like, it really makes you think of the world not just in this one box, but it makes you think of the world like just a huge circle.
It's real, it's real diverse, right? Diversity is always good when you go to different towns. Right.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that I know when I came back from Egypt, I was definitely like, oh, my God. These kids here in the United States, you know, especially the ones in the inner city that kind of, for no reason, for no fault of their own, they just see their immediate environment.
Right.
And I'm just like, they need to travel. They need to get out. They need to travel. So much education just happens just interacting with other cultures. You know, you see so many kids that don't have a lot of these materialistic things, and then all of a sudden you see a culture that doesn't have that, but yet they're happy as clams. They're beautiful, beautiful people, and they're not comparing anything to anybody. They're just them. And I know I took that, you know, I just, those lessons you take away.
You just live like grassroots when you just really don't worry about all the different gadgets and the different, you know, new age type of thing, and you just, you know, just, it's always good when you can just have regular, you know, situations where, you know, you can be embraced regularly, and it's not just because of what you have or anything on the outside. It's just, you know, pure grassroots. I love that. That's good.
Exactly. And, you know, I don't have a TV in my home for one of those reasons. And
I'm not mad at you.
You know, my daughter can't stand it. My daughter's like, oh, my God, I'm the only person in the school that doesn't have a TV. Oh, my God, I'm scared of you.
She's a child.
But I'm like, what? I know, yeah. But I'm like, what do you need one for? Why? Why? For what? And I mean, you know, by the time I looked at it, I'm like, one, I never really had time to watch it. Two, when it's time, you know, after school, I mean, what are we doing? We're doing homework. I'm doing some recital stuff, some music. I don't have time to watch it, and neither does she. And it cuts out on
Miss Cooper, I'm about to get on you about the TV thing right now too, because as a woman that's been on Fox Morning Show, you did HBO, The Wire. Y'all people out there listening, she's been on Toyota commercials. She did a TV pilot project for HBO that was produced by Sarah Jessica Parker. And you don't have a TV?
No, I get on my laptop.
Okay, all right. Okay, you got your laptop. Okay,
and stream it.
All right. You know what? I'm here with you right now. When you say you can stream yourself and you can watch yourself, that's cool. But I was about to get on you. Like, wait a minute. No TV and you did all this stuff? Are you serious? But, okay, you get a pass for me right now.
Yeah, well, there is a funny story with that, because I had never actually seen The Wire when I did it. And I remember when I went to audition for it, I was just kind of like, well, I don't know any of these characters. I've heard of it, but I don't know any of these characters. And you know, I was just like, well, I'll just because, one, I didn't have any television background, so I thought, you know what, I'll do the extra work. I don't mind. I want to get in there, see what it's like, all of that stuff. When that opportunity happens, I want to be ready. And the funniest thing was, so I did that for like the first, I don't know, 2 or 3 seasons, and then they were like, you know what, we have a little small part we'd like you to do. It's in the courtroom, and I was just like, oh, sure. So the director was like, I like how you catch on quick. I was like, thanks. So she tells me, okay, you're going to go right after they say, let's, for example, hello, how are you? Well, you know, on stage, when you say hello, how are you, you have to say it so that the person in the back row can hear you without a mic.
Right.
So I wasn't used to people just speaking like this and the mic picking it up.
Hello,
so
how
I'm standing in the background. I'm standing in the background, and there were a couple of takes where I'm just like, what? Wait, what? And they're like, what? I wasn't waiting for them to say hello, how are you? And they're like, we did say it. And I'm like, oh, my God, you're talking. I was like, what happened to projecting your voice? Hello? And so the director just laughed so hard. They're like, oh, we got a singer here. We got a singer here. So we had a really good time. There are a couple of outtakes of my head going in the frame, like, what? Wait, what? Say it loud.
I'm gonna have to look for that. Then I want to see that.
It's funny. But it's just, you know, it was. I'm gonna have to look for that outtake too, because I was just like, oh my God. I want to see it.
I heard
So,
that AO Radio
anyway,
has
you
Bri
know, it's
Cooper
just-
live right here, and I'm like I said, I did enough homework on you to be proud of you for what you've done and what you've accomplished so far.
Thank you.
And I really appreciate just your mannerisms, and it ain't nothing sexier than an educated woman that is not just educated, but just is really just trying to go get hers every single time out, and that's definitely hot. But you got a CD out, Heavenly Grass. That's out, right?
Yeah.
And people can go get it?
Yes. Yeah, sure. You can go to Amazon. You can go to iTunes.
Can I go get it right now? I
can
go get it right now, right?
Sure.
I can go get it?
Type it in there. It'll pop up. Yep.
There you go.
And and it's it's a beautiful collection of music of American contemporary composers. And when I thought about trying to get the CD done, I was just like, I need to do a CD. What CD? How am I going to do this? That kind of thing. And I thought about, whenever I sing, I always want to make sure that, people think of opera singer like, oh my gosh, so beyond reproach that, you can't really get into it. But I wanted to make sure that, one, people who studied music, they would know these songs. So every classical singer has studied these art songs. And the other thing is, I knew that I didn't want it to be in another language, only because I felt like, well, if I want to pull in people that basically might be interested, but they've never heard the opera or anything like that, I want to make sure that they feel like they're welcome to listen to it at least. Right. And then I said, well, not only that, I wanted it to be something, a lot of music where they could follow. It's very, melodic, some of it. So I really thought about that, and I thought about the audience that was going to purchase it or listen to it. I wanted to make sure that they were definitely included so that they knew that I picked the songs out just for them, and for my other music friends.
I can tell just from some of the songs that I've listened to, and I'm definitely going to go and pick up Heavenly Grass. Literally, as I'm saying this to you, I'm going on iTunes right now, search your name, get that, go ahead and put that link out there, done deal. But to me, I've always been a fan of music, period. It doesn't matter what genre of music. I've always been open to listening, and I think that's part of, just trying to be able to reach all these people. You're reaching to people that is pure, driven by the art form of music without putting a face to it or a label to it, right?
Right, yeah, definitely. I want to, I like to appeal to all types of people who like all types of music because that's my personality. I have a very eclectic personality and I have very eclectic friends. So, and you kind of have to be that way, I think, and it really gives you, it gives you a really deep understanding of dynamics of human nature, that kind of thing, and especially in this business. You deal with a lot of different types of personalities. But one of the CDs that I'm going to have coming out is merging opera with hip-hop, and it's really, like, when I was just really blown away when I heard the final product, and we're still, getting things off the ground with it, but it sounds just amazing, and the rapper, he's just so sweet. His name is Andre, they call him the Champ, but the story behind it is that we found this beautiful piece of music that I like to listen to all the time, and he was just like, wow, it's really nice, and he's just like, let me put some music to it, like a rap, and I was like, what? And so I said, that would be cool. And I like to listen to all different types of music anyway. So I said, that's cool. So he put it, so I went into the studio. He had already put the track down. And I remember thinking, who's that? And I was like,
Did you say it like that, too? Did you just say,
who's crazy? Yeah, I said, who's that? Because he doesn't sound and he doesn't look like anything that you hear on this CD. And I was just like, who is that? And I'd never heard him rap before. And it was just beautiful. I was like, oh, my gosh. And the story was, we worked really hard, and we got all the stuff together in literally a few hours in the studio, and he was leaving for the Army the next day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a beautiful song, and it's basically, like telling his mom how much he loves her before he goes off to, join the Army and stuff. So, and the part where I'm singing opera is just, they didn't change a thing. I thought they were going to be like, oh, sing, can you sing more like R&B? And I'm like, no, but they didn't even ask that. They were just like, just do it. Just do it. Just sing it how you're going to sing that in a recital. And I did it, and they came up with everything else. It was fabulous. So I can't wait to get that out. And I just like to, I do like to spend a lot of time with kids in the schools and talk to opera, talk to them about opera. And, I like to find out, well, why don't you like it? Like, I don't like that stuff. Or I'm like, why don't you like it? And they always say the same thing. It's the language, and it's, I don't understand it. I don't understand the music, that kind of thing. And and the storyline. And I was like, well, what kind of storyline is it? And a lot of them will say, I don't know. That's the thing. I don't understand it. And I said, well, what kind of storyline would you like? And he's like, well, it needs to be something. It needs to be something like, a guy meets a girl, and then, and then there's this jealousy, and, and there's this. And I said, well, that's funny. I said, because, there's several operas that are like that. And we listened to one of them, and I said, and this opera right here that you're listening to is the same storyline you just made up. Right. And I'm like, no way. So, that really sparked an interest. And they love it, and, I'm just glad to just try to get these kids into thinking outside of their immediate environment or thinking about one style of music. I love music like the next person. I like hip-hop, I like rap, I like country. And, as a matter of fact, it's so funny. I was listening to a video, Rascal Flatts. I love them. So
yeah.
And that song, what's the name of the song?
How's it go?
What Hurts the Most? No, what Hurts the Most? And the song, put it on there. I was like, God, I can't get enough of that song. And then all of a sudden, I got like back a million replies like, "You like country? What?"
and see that's the funny thing too, because I love some country songs are good songs. It's like you said, some hip hop is good hip hop, some R&B is good R&B, some opera is good opera. You just got to really, it's not training your ears to be able to pay attention. You have to be a student of it too. Like, you can't just hear anything and not understand it. Like, that's, to me, you got to know what you're listening to.
You can't just listen to everything. Music is universal.
Yes.
And you can't just listen to everything, because music touches your soul.
Absolutely.
So whatever you're listening to, that's what you can return into. I can always tell, like, I could be walking down the street, and I could tell when someone's been listening to really derogatory, what they think is music, rap, which what can that do to your soul?
You can smell it on them, right, Bri? Like, you could feel that aura.
What
like,
are you angry about? What are you angry about? What are you angry about? The sun is shining. It's 80 degrees. I got on shorts and look at you on my heels. What are you angry about? I listen to it. I'm like, Lord, he's listening to some nonsense. And you wonder why. And people don't realize that. It really affects your soul.
Amen to that. Amen to that.
Because you can find some really good hip-hop. Remember when hip-hop was hip-hop?
Oh my God.
That sounds like a movie.
Come on,
you remember that? Yeah. You might be, well.
No, I'm old enough to know, sweetheart. Trust me.
Oh, okay.
Just when hip hop was really like in that culture that you kind of felt like they were talking, not just talking to you, but you really felt it came away with not just the storytelling part of it, but also just that's creative. I could see and I could feel your creativity coming through me. You know what I'm saying? So I got you.
Exactly.
But your music does that
the same way.
I agree. Your music does that as well.
It can, but you have to find it. You have to go out there and listen to all different types. You can't just say, oh, there's, it's another way. But when you get beyond, and what I tell people is, like, if you go to an opera, a lot of friends call me, like, I'm going to an opera, or taking my husband to an opera. He's never been before. What can I take? I always say, you know what, remind him to not listen, not try to focus so much on the words and the characters and what's being said, even though they have subtitles at the top of the screen, but to really listen to the music first. Don't even worry about what's being said. And they have the synopsis in the program, 9 times out of 10.
Right.
So, I was telling them, like, just listen to the music and make sure there are a few operas, like, every opera goer, if you're trying to get into it, should go to, like, the Marriage of Figaro. That's a great one because a lot of the music, you're going to start humming to it because you've already seen it in commercials, and people don't realize that. I'm like, yeah, don't say something that you don't realize is in commercials, but it's in there.
Very, very good.
Porgy and Bess is another one. Great opera. Lots of fun. It's in English. Lots of great characters in it, based on a book. Really, really interesting.
And Bri Cooper is on AL Radio. And before we let you go, I have to ask you about just all the social media stuff that I'm pretty sure you are well aware of. Like, we all got to have, like, some kind of social media thing going. See, I was trying to find your Twitter, and I found something that I think was you. I think I did.
Bri Cooper. Just Bri Cooper. No E. It's Bridgett Cooper.
Okay. See, I was trying to make sure I got that right because I was there's a Bri Cooper out there. There's all kind of Bridget Cooper. So I just wanted to make sure that there's.
Well, I appreciate that. Now, there's another Bridget Cooper, and it's not me. It's Bridget. I can't remember her middle initial, Cooper. But we found each other on Facebook just because I ended up getting something that she was supposed to get. I was like, what in the world? And then she got something that I was supposed to get. And she's a singer, but she's in Hawaii, and I'm in the States. Okay. And it was so funny. So we kind of just kept in touch. But, yeah, you're right. There are a lot of Bridget Coopers up there. But, that's, I go by Bridget, whatever. Okay. But, yeah.
And what about your website? My
website, bridgetcooper.wix.com. And then my Facebook is Bridget Cooper Mezzo Soprano. And also, if you go to Shameless Jewelry is a beautiful jewelry company. I mean, they have beautiful lines. They're very, very different, kind of edgy. But they stepped up to the plate. They're going to donate 25% of the Twisted Heart necklace to save the music. So I'm really proud of that company. Yeah, so anybody can go in there, look for the Twisted Heart necklace. It's Shameless Jewelry, and they are going to donate 25% to save the music. So I'm really proud of it. Yeah, they were inspired by me. I was like, oh my God, really? So I'm very proud of them for doing that. Yeah.
Very good.
So I have a lot of energy, don't I?
You do, and that's actually a good thing, though. That's a good thing. What about anything upcoming as far as performances and things like that? Are you going to be doing anything?
Yeah. In April, I'm going to be doing the 2013. I told you that the Distinguished Alumni Award. We're going to be doing I'm going to be doing a recital, and then also at East Carolina University, and I'm going to be doing like a Q&A session for some of the singers there. Also, St. Christopher's by the Sea, which is in Key Biscayne, Florida. I'll be doing a recital there. That will be in May. Could be May, June. Also, Transfiguration Church. I'll be singing a recital there. And I'm working with something with the Kennedy Center to do a recital at the Rooftop Terrace for one of the local community organizations here in D.C.
Okay. Very good, very good. Well,
Thank you.
I definitely would love to see you perform or do something in the near future. So I'm going to have to track down one of your shows. I'm out in California, but I need to come down there. See, you get me like real motivated and amped up, and I'm trying to see you live. So I want to see. I definitely want to see. So.
And it's fun to do out in California. Oh my gosh, it's fun.
Well, I'm definitely gonna have to come track you down. So I'm gonna do that via Facebook and and everything. But I definitely want to thank you for calling in and hanging out with me. And please don't be a stranger. Come back and hang out with me.
Really?
We'll play some more of your music and talk.
That would be wonderful.
Would
I feel
love
like this
to.
was just a really, it was really nice. I feel like I was just kind of getting together with some friends and talking music. I love it.
So that
One of
means
my
you enjoy
favorite
the
things
vibe,
to
right?
do.
You love the
Yes,
vibe. Enjoy
yes,
it. Okay.
of course. Oh my gosh, I love it.
Well,
Yeah.
well, this is always the first time. It always gets better when you can come back on and do it over and over and over again. So we got you locked in, and I love your
Yes.
music, and like I'm very very impressed by you. Like I said,
Oh, thank
once I got a chance to be able to get to you, listen to you, and just know more about you, I became a fan because I really really believe that you got something that it's made to be given to everybody out there listening. So I'm definitely on board. I'm a fan, but
That's really
also
sweet of you.
a
Thank
very
you.
very strong admirer by how you're doing. And like I said, college educated, official, like music talent, everything. I mean, how hot is that? That's scorching hot.
That's
So
really
I
sweet. I don't
appreciate
hear
that.
enough of that. Thank you. I really
Well,
appreciate that. I really
stick with
appreciate
me. I'll
that.
tell you every day.
Oh, I will. And then you'll be like, Bridget, could you stop calling again? Really? I'll be like, hey, what are you doing? Here's some music, buddy.
Well,
Hey, what's up?
well, I'll make sure that I put all the information up there for all the listeners out there worldwide listening to. And don't be a stranger. Give me a call anytime,
Oh,
and
no, I
we got
won't.
you.
And when you see my name come up there on the ID, caller ID, you say, oh, stop, I've got to take that call. It's Bridget.
Oh, yeah. Everything stops. Everything stops. You better believe it. You better believe it.
That's how I roll over here.
Exactly. Hey, and I'm rolling with you, baby. That's how we do. That's how we do.
Yay. Thank you so much for having me. I really
Blessings to
appreciate
you, Miss
it.
Cooper. I will be in touch with you, and keep doing what you're doing. I love you dearly.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, too. All right. Have a great one. Bye-bye.
Nexxlegacy.